Welcome back to Collective Perspective. I am your reigning champ here because I have defeated Craig, and it wasn't even close. Uh,
Whatever.
if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, episode 53 is what I'm talking about. Big dub right here.
Yeah, spoilers. He wins.
Um, let's talk about a console that we usually rag on a lot here in episode 54. We're going to talk about the 10 most important games you should own if you're going to collect N64 games. All right.
Yes, we
So
are.
if you're like, okay, these are the games that defined this console, and you should own these 10 games rather than any of the other 286 games. These are the ones. And we have each made our own lists, and we have not shared them with each other. And yeah, anything you want to throw in there, Craig?
Yeah, so we just both decided what we think is most important for somebody to own if they're going to own, 10 games for the console. You guys can decide below, because I'm sure our list will have at least one or two or three differences. You can go ahead and berate us in the comments and tell us who has a better opinion.
So what I want to do, I didn't mention this before we started, but if I choose one and you also choose the same one,
Yeah, we could just both talk about it, right?
right, exactly. So just skip to that one, and yeah. So I guess we can take turns. Why don't you go first?
All right. So first one on my list, probably not the first. Depending on who you are, this will be the first game that comes to mind when you think of the N64. And for me, it is Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I'm sure that's on your list as well.
Yeah, we don't have to dance around it. It's
No,
absolutely on
definitely
there.
not. Yes, so Ocarina of Time, obviously one of the most influential games of all time. One of the most highly regarded, the best reviewed game of all time. All that stuff definitely makes it a collector's piece. It's a game that means a lot to me personally. It set the groundwork for the series going forward for many, many years up until Breath of the Wild. The first 3D Zelda, basically created the lock-on camera action like system in action games. So, extraordinarily important title.
Ditto to everything he just said. This is a game I had to get the collector's edition completed box. This is something I absolutely needed on my shelf, and I think I got that in 2023 or 2022. But like, absolutely, everyone should get this. There's nothing rare about the collector's edition. If you're out there and you're wondering, like, you should pick that one up because it's beautiful and it's a golden cartridge.
Yeah, just has a bit more shimmer on the cover.
Yeah. I actually remember this is a slight aside, but as a kid, I got this game way before I should have been, like, trying to understand how Zelda works. And I remember being at the store at GameStop, and the gold cartridge was, like, we were buying a used copy of this game, and I wanted the gold one, and the GameStop employee or whatever store it was, he was, like, telling my parents, like, yeah, it's the same game. You don't really have to buy the more expensive one. And I was like...
And you're like, shut up, Dave. Let my parents buy me the cool one.
Thinking back, it's like, man, this guy must not have been on commission. Like, what the heck?
That's funny. I can give an aside as well. This game is my very first memory of being alive. The first thing I remember is playing this game with my dad. So, kind of neat.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it'll always be up there for me because I'm just like, oh, that's when life began, apparently, according to my brain.
Shout out to Craig Sr.
Still playing World of Warcraft to this day, the OG gamer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's been playing since it came out, and he never stopped. He's a real one.
Should we choose another boring one? Let's get the other boring one out of the way. I'm going to go Mario 64, and it is... you guys don't need to hear it. It defined so much. It defined a generation. It defined how 3D platformers should work. The camera wasn't terrible. It is the first 3D Mario game. It's the first of a lot of things, and it was a launch title for the N64. Console might not have done it as well as it did if this was not a launch title, if we're being honest.
And you can't undersell how perfect this game, like, just how good the movement feels, Like, every indie platformer that's come out ever has been, trying to copy the feel of Mario 64. And there's some games that have gotten close, but no one's done it as good as the King.
Fantastic game. Everyone's played it. Everyone knows about it. I think we're good.
Yes, yes. Next up for me, we did Ocarina of Time. Then I think Majora's Mask is also up there as well. I view them as sister games. I really feel like you can't have one without the other. I've never met anyone personally that likes one and dislikes the other. They just kind of go together hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly. Majora's Mask has also has left a very long lasting impression on other game developers. With its time limit that it has, and just all of its interesting and weird, quirky design choices. Very important, different game. Kind of set the tone, I think, almost for adding horror elements into non-horror games as well, which is kind of cool. So shout out to Majora's Mask.
I like that. I love how freaking disturbing that game is. I love how creepy the sales guy, the happy mask salesman guy is. I freaking love it. Never beat that game. Started it and didn't finish it multiple times, but objectively, this is on my list as well. This game is very important, and it's hard to find 9 other games that would go in front of it. So
there you go.
It's on the list.
Right. What else you got?
I'm gonna go ahead and say Mario Party. It is a game that obviously spawned 15, 20 sequels at this point. I've actually never played the original Mario Party, but because just for historical importance sake, I'm not going to choose Mario Party 3 because it's my favorite game or whatever. But I think that this is an iconic game that has broken up a lot of friendships and relationships, and I absolutely love Mario Party, the series, and yeah, it's another game that is obviously doesn't need any introduction.
Yeah, so this one isn't on my list, but I do think that it is a fair entry for all the reasons you said. I mean, it's the party game. It's what started the party game series, and who doesn't love a good party game? Who doesn't love hating each other by the end of the night?
I don't know if this was like the OG like board game style of game like this that wasn't like a board game made into a video game. That would be interesting to research.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. I feel like it might be or is, but either way, definitely, again, just like the other games we mentioned, has left a blueprint for just video game design going forward.
Well, I'm interested to see what you put instead of this.
So this one may or may not be on yours. I put Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, it made it.
Banjo-Kazooie, obviously, very similar in vein to Mario 64, just not, at the peak of the mountaintop. Very inspirational for game design, game devs. Really just very beloved, super duper iconic, icon of his era in the late 90s. And it's one of those, a lot of, you think about your Crocs or different things from back then, where it's like people aren't clamoring for those games to come back or those series to come back. People have been clamoring for Banjo-Kazooie since Banjo-Kazooie went away. And it's kind of crazy how its staying power has really outlasted, the series itself. So I think that Banjo-Kazooie is definitely an essential one as well. Plus, if the N64 is known for anything, it's known for its platformers. So
I feel like this game is like the DK Country of the Super Nintendo, because it's not Mario, and it's not a Nintendo. I mean, I guess Donkey Kong's a Nintendo game. It was made by Rare, but it's like, I don't know. It's not your typical Mario, Zelda, Metroid, but it is like iconic. Like, you think of this console, you think of Banjo-Kazooie. I've never even played the game. I've played it maybe for a little bit, but like I barely know anything about it personally. I know it's a collectathon, but I know it's freaking iconic. I know the soundtrack is incredible. I know that you cannot think N64 without Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, and it's like it's so entwined with the identity of the N64 that it feels first party, even though it's not, because it's just that attached to it.
Yep, I got that one as well. Good choice.
Sweet.
I think you're going to say no to this one. It is Star Fox 64.
No, I do have that, actually.
All right, that's how I know you're being objective. I love Star Fox 64, but aside from that, just like from an objective standpoint, if you're going to have any Star Fox game in history, it's definitely this one. This is better than the SNES game, and it is unfortunately better than all the sequels. I think Star Fox 64 is really freaking cool for the way that you could explore different planets, go to different levels, and you could replay, much like Yoshi's Story, you could replay this game 15 different ways and get a different ending.
taking the different paths and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it introduced the Rumble. It came in a big box, so make sure you get a nice CIB copy when you buy it. But I don't know. I think that this is just one of those games on the N64 that most people played. It actually had a 4-player multiplayer that I never actually experienced myself. I don't know. What do you have to say?
Yeah. Everything you said, basically. I feel like it really left a lasting impression. It's the Star Fox game when people think of Star Fox. From what I've played of the Star Fox games, it's definitely the best one, in my opinion, as well. And I think it's also left an impression on a lot of gamers of that time, because I think it's the reason a lot of people like to invert their camera controls because of the way that game controls. I think that kind of set that motion in place for a lot of people to where now their camera controls have to be inverted because of playing Star Fox 64 as kids.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that from many people actually over the years, and I've always thought that was super funny because it always comes back to Star Fox 64 and GoldenEye, I believe, were the reasons for that for most people. So yeah, Star Fox 64, the Star Fox game, of kind of an underdog series. So
I think that I don't know. I think I've said this before, but like I used to be able to beat this game easy any day of the week as a kid, and now I come back to it as an adult, and I cannot like I actually have to die a few times, and I don't know. It's not as easy as I thought it was. It's a great game though.
No, it is fairly tough. Have you ever played the 3DS remake?
No.
Also excellent.
Is there touch controls?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I didn't play it with it, so. Next up for me, I have Super Smash Bros.
Yep.
Super Smash Bros. Obviously, probably the first big kind of crossover game, just in general. The idea of making a platform fighter where it wasn't about bringing down your health and instead bringing up the percentage to knock people off of the stage was a super, novel idea at the time. Nowadays Smash Bros is kind of known as the series where every character and their mother is there, and people discover series that they love based off of it.
Yeah.
Famously, a lot of people discovered Earthbound and stuff through Super Smash Bros, which is obviously a very important game nowadays in the eyes of Nintendo fans. So yeah, just a start to a massive series. Smash Ultimate went on to be the greatest most highest selling fighting game of all time. So this is where it all started.
Yeah, this is I have nothing to add. That was beautiful. But awesome. I don't even think I've ever played the original, to tell you the truth. I started on the GameCube.
Wow.
Yeah, it just the sequels that it spawned, even if the latter games like build upon each other and get better, this is historically so important, and it's
still so fun.
I never really think about it as being like a like the first big crossover game, like you said. That's actually a really good point. I like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's not, but I can't think of anything earlier, at least not off the top of my head. So, gotta give it some cred.
Let's take it back to Rareware, the only other developer on the N64. We have a game I've never played, GoldenEye 007. I
have that as well.
Craig, I have an idea what you put that I didn't put. GoldenEye, never played it. Iconic game. Everyone and their mother, except for me apparently, who had an N64, played this game. 4-player, single player. You guys loved this crap. And I'm sure half the people playing this in the 90s had never seen the movie it was based on. Like, it was just such an important and fun game, and I think it was actually like a pretty big deal for like bringing FPS to the home console. It wasn't the catalyst, but it was a big help. I don't know. What have you played this game?
Yeah. It definitely is rough around the edges. Compared to FPSs now. But it's like this was the sleepover game of its era. It was the game that everyone would gather for to play. You talk to any person in their 40s to 50s, they're like, oh yeah, that was the best at GoldenEye. That was the best game. Still the best shooter ever. So it's definitely had that kind of staying power. And one of the first huge successes critically and commercially for a licensed game. because most licensed games are usually trash, famously. But GoldenEye was always considered great, to this day still considered great. And yeah. I mean, now it's on modern consoles. Then that was a big splash when that came out because they had all those issues with licensing and Xbox owning it now. So just another game with a lot of staying power that left a big impact on game design going forward.
I think this year is the year I play some GoldenEye. I gotta pop that bad boy in. Play through that campaign.
All right. Next up for me, I have, and this is a bit of a biased personal pick, but I'm sticking with it because I do think that it still is very important, and that is Paper Mario.
I put it.
Did you? Okay, cool. I feel a little bit better about that then. Yes, Paper Mario, one of the few RPGs/JRPGs for the N64, because N64 did not get many RPGs at all. But Paper Mario obviously derived from Super Mario RPG, and then really gave us this whole kind of other world of Mario RPGs going in the future with more games in this series, and we got Mario Luigi. It's just such a creative, novel idea, probably one of the most famous Mario spin-offs that exists, and yeah, it's just a must-play and must-own.
Never played it. I've played a few of the sequels. It's iconic. It is the game that was supposed to be Mario RPG 2 at one point. It is the start of a series, and they picked up right where Square Enix left off on the previous game, and this game was huge when it came out. And even today, it's like a toss-up for fans. Like, is this or Thousand Year Door better? Like, it still apparently holds up really freaking well. I think it's important because it's not the first RPG in the Mario series, but it is pretty close. It just feels like it should be. I honestly don't have anything revolutionary to say about this game other than that. I think that it belongs in the top 10.
Also, semi-notable, very, very late N64 release. It came out in 2001 in North America. So,
and it was still so memorable and successful.
Yeah, so pretty significant in that way because, very late life first party game, and those are always kind of cool to see.
2001, I didn't know that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Very interesting.
All right, what you got? This should be your last one, I believe.
Wow, that was quick because we had all the same answers.
Yeah, we had a lot of similar.
What did I have that you didn't have?
Let's see.
Or nothing,
looks
maybe.
Like
Mario Party.
Mario Party is the only one so far that we didn't have the same.
So, I feel like that means... I don't know. Okay, so I put Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Oh, okay. So we're going to have a few different ones then. Cool.
Oh, so this isn't your last one. You still have a few more?
Yeah, because we've had similar games, so I have 2 more to go after this.
Okay, Conker's Bad Fur Day. I was like, this was my final pick. Not like we're not doing this in order, but I was looking through like top 50 lists and whatnot, trying to figure out what the heck I was going to put in here. I could probably phone in a few different ones for number 10, but I went with Conker's Bad Fur Day. I think it's more important than like a lot of games personally, like Mario Golf per se or Mario Tennis. Just a lot of these other first party or rare games. I feel like this one is the one that really people still love and talk about to this freaking day. It was kind of iconic in the sense that it was a freaking vulgar rated M game on this family friendly freaking Nintendo 64 platform. And it looks kid friendly. It looks like this game that's supposed to be for children, and they said, heck no, we're gonna have profanity, freaking alcohol, sex jokes, all this crazy stuff. And I think it's a hilarious thing that exists. I think that it's very similar to like how in 2024 we have that freaking Night Trap finally came to a Nintendo platform. It's very similar to that in my opinion. That's all I got to say. I've never even I've played a few hours.
Yeah, that's a fun choice. I do like that. Definitely could make an argument for that, but it does not make my top 10. So the 2 that I have that both aren't on your list, we got Mario Kart 64, which I'm shocked that you didn't pick, honestly.
It was close.
Definitely not my favorite Mario Kart, but it is a lot of people's favorite Mario Kart. I was gonna say it's the first 3D Mario Kart, but I'm like, it kind of isn't, because it's mostly just sprites overlaid that look kind of weird in 3D. But I feel like when people think of classic Mario Kart, usually they think of this before they think of Super Mario Kart or Double Dash or Super Circuit. So
that's actually really true. Like, people don't care about SNES Mario Kart, but in my head, I'm thinking, okay, it's not the first game, and it's not better than any of the others. Like, it's just something that's aged a lot.
Yeah, but it's still fun, still worth playing to this day. I mean, nothing clears Double Dash, but that's the GameCube bias in me. So
I agree with that.
And then the then the last game I have on my list that you didn't have was Pokemon Stadium. Not the first 3D Pokemon game to be on console, because there was another one in Japan, but that was Japan only. So this was the first 3D Pokemon console game we got in North America. It had all the significance of being able to connect your Game Boy games to them. So very innovative and interesting back then. And I don't know, just Pokemon is always powerful in terms of staying in the minds of people, staying relevant, being good, being fun for the most part. And I think Pokemon Stadium is one of those games that holds up very well. It also comes in a big box like Star Fox, so has a cool collectability point there for being a nice big fancy box.
I could see both of those taking the cake for the 10th slot for me. I think that I don't feel like anyone talks about Pokemon Stadium. Do you feel that?
No, not really. Honestly, I think they used to, but I feel like it's kind of been forgotten to time a little bit. That in Pokemon Stadium too. Like, I didn't even see that much buzz when they added them to Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah. So, honestly, I almost put Pokemon Puzzle League on here.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'd say we both have pretty solid lists. I think my list is more solid because I'm better than you. But other than that,
that's not what episode 53 shows.
I know. But yeah, we didn't have that many differences. So yeah, we only had 2 games different. So definitely comment down below and let us know who's right and who's wrong. Because I think you could make an argument for either or. I think my Pokemon Stadium and your Conker's Bad Fur Day are the 2 that are the most questionable.
Yeah.
But Mario Kart 64 and Mario Party, those are both solid arguments. So.
I almost feel like Mario Kart 64 should be in the top 10 for me, but that's pretty close.
You listen to your heart.
Big one we left out is F-Zero X.
Is it a big one though? And I'm not even trying to be facetious. I feel like when people talk about F-Zero and love F-Zero, they're usually talking about GX as like the go-to one. I don't hear a lot of love for F-Zero X. I could be wrong.
I mean, there's a reason it didn't make my list. It's probably like 15 or 16, or I don't know. I've never played it, so I'm not going to talk trash on it. But
I haven't either.
Anything else big that we left out? Like the Mario sports games. I think this was the first Mario Golf.
Yeah, I thought about that. Same with tennis as well. Not nearly as much tennis, but Mario Golf is continued on and been excellent for many years.
Yeah.
So I think you can make an argument for Mario Golf as well. I thought about Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
But then it's like when there's Perfect Dark and GoldenEye, I mean, the right answer I think is GoldenEye, honestly.
Like in terms of historically important, I feel like no one played Perfect Dark. But when I was looking at these lists, it was like top 5 in every list I looked at.
It's a game that's fondly looked back upon for sure.
Nintendo and Rare made up this whole console.
Pretty much. Hey, you know what? Atlas released a Tactics Ogre game on there, so credit where credit's due. You got 2 Castlevanias on there.
Not a single Square game, huh?
No, they had some mighty beef for a few years, so.
I love that.
It's interesting. If you don't know the story, definitely look into it.
Yeah, let us know your list. Let us know whose list was better. Pretty sure the top 5 is pretty much the same for everyone. But yeah, let us know your list down in the comments below. Join the Discord. Go follow Craig's Game Room on YouTube. And that's a lot of stuff for you to go do, but you can go do it all.
But always remember that Paper Mario is better than Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door.
You heard it here first.